Our topic for today is 7 reasons why AI is broken. As we know it, any action that causes damage to one's reputation is what's referred to as defamation. And you all must be wondering, what does AI have to do with defamation? If so, allow me to share a few examples. ChatGPT falsely included a prominent law professor from Georgetown University in a list of scholars that have sexually harassed someone, citing an article from the Washington Post that never existed. In another example that hits the fair island called Australia, the mayor of Hamptonshire Council in Victoria was falsely accused of being a guilty party in a foreign bribery scandal, when in reality, he was the whistleblower who informed the authorities of the bribe payment. He is currently suing OpenAI. Now, what's happening here? One of the underlying reasons why this happens is due to a phenomenon called AI hallucination. In the world of artificial intelligence, hallucination occurs when AI generates information that seems plausible, but in actual is incorrect or fabricated. In other words, it's made up. Moving forward to our second point, employment in AI. Now consider this. After Amazon trained an algorithm on 10 years of its own hiring data, the algorithm reportedly became biased against female applicants. The word women, like in women's sports, would cause the algorithm to specifically rank applicants lower. After Amazon's engineers attempted to fix that problem, the algorithm still wasn't up to the standard, and later on the project was cancelled. So how is this all happening? Two things over here. A, the data set is imperfect, it's incomplete, or the algorithms contain some imperfections. Anti-discrimination takes us back to 2020. This is when one fine day, a gentleman named Robert Williams is arrested in front of his kids. He ends up spending the entire night in jail, pleading and asking what has he done wrong, what happened, seeking information from the authorities. However, it was not until next day when he actually found out that he was the victim faulty artificial intelligence facial recognition system. In another example, there was a gentleman named Jordan Sweeney, a convicted murderer released from prison in 2022 after an AI classified him as medium risk. He ends up brutally assaulting and killing a young woman just days after his release. A review later found out that his classification should have been high risk. Now, picking the conversation from our last point, where we brought to surface two underlying issues. One, datasets being incomplete. Two, imperfections in algorithms. The third point we add here is probability-based models used to provide AI predictions. In case of Jordan Sweeney, AI-based risk predictions were inaccurate. To explain AI liability, we take Uber as a first example. Uber's self-driving vehicle was involved in an accident that led to the death of a pedestrian in 2018. It was admitted in the court that the incident happened due to faulty AI mechanism. However, it was the driver behind the wheel who was held responsible under duty of care. In another instance, Air Canada was held responsible for negligent misrepresentation made by its chatbot. The case involved a customer who relied on incorrect information about bereavement fares, leading to a legal dispute over inaccuracy and reliability of AI-generated responses. The challenge around AI liability is deciding who ultimately is responsible for any AI-induced damages. Pointing liability to a single source is challenging due to involvement of various stakeholders all across AI supply chain and AI lifecycle. To know more about AI supply chain, click here. Current approach, however, has a high reliance on existing liability laws, such as negligence, consumer laws, contracts, and corporations laws. Competition and consumer law takes us to Belgium, where a local individual ended his life following a 6-week-long conversation about climate crisis with an artificial intelligence chat box named Eliza. In another example, we have Trivago, where ACCC was successful in their case against misleading consumers in its use of algorithmic decision-making. that gave a false impression of providing the best or the cheapest deals. Trivago was ordered to pay almost $45 million in penalties for this contravention. In both these cases, we see traces of AI deception. There are also concerns that AI might engage in collusion, whether intentionally or unintentionally. This could lead in price fixing or exploiting market powers through discrimination and bias by implementing anti-competitive strategies like predatory pricing. Large-scale price discrimination is also possible where AI predicts the maximum price a consumer could pay based on this recent spending habits. This dynamic pricing is already being used by businesses like Amazon. Finally, the black box nature of these tools means that there is a risk of fraud. The firms market their product as providing a certain service, but their customers have no mechanisms to determine the accuracy of their claims. Intellectual property. This hits home where First Nations cultural material has been used without consent and misappropriated by AI. For example, generative AI tools are being trained on First Nations artworks without artists' permissions. Another prominent example is a lawsuit that was filed by various artists earlier this year against Stability AI, Midjourney, and DeviantArt for infringing the exclusive rights in their copyrighted work when they use these works to train their AI image generators. To summarize, in order for AI to perform, it needs an input to generate an output. An input includes training datasets. Training datasets includes intellectual properties belonging to someone. Hence, it is this which is causing legal concerns. Concerns such as, is a developer of an AI system permitted to use materials for training purposes? An example of this comes of a Disney's Illustrator, where the work of artist Holly Mangat was used to train an AI model. Would they still be breaching her copyrights since no one specific work of hers is being reproduced, but rather it's her style that's being used? Also, and more interestingly, what if the input that is used by an AI is actually a generated output of another AI? And lastly, we arrive at data and privacy. For that, we look into Patagonia, who is being sued for allegedly violating California's privacy laws through its partnership with TalkDesk. TalkDesk intercepts, records, and analyzes customers' communications without their consent and uses that data to train AI models, raising concerns about privacy and data usage. Similar lawsuits have been filed against other companies for comparable practices. So, what essentially is at play here? There are issues with the concept of data ownership in itself, meaning who owns the data that's being generated by an AI system that has scraped data from a public source or a subscription based platform, hence creating licensing, privacy, and confidentiality considerations. $1 million question here is, can data owners control the access of data that's contained within AI's black box? With that, we come to a close of all 7 points. AI is certainly the future, and some say it is equivalent to modern day industrial revolution. However, we cannot ignore the shortfalls of AI, as it could be detrimental to our societies. Therefore, introducing a layer of transparency and explainability would do wonders to overall AI's acceptance and productivity. But the question is, how? In our next episode, we look into a bit of that and also look into what the major powers in the world are doing in order to combat AI's risks. Till then, stay tuned and thank you for watching.